Hi guys, I'm here to talk about Social Security. But first, with a little help from my friend, hit it, Barack. When I get older, losing my hair, many years from now, will you still be sending me a Valentine? Birthday greetings, bottle of wine. If I'd been out till 2:45, would you lock the door? Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64? Well, that's all we have time for. Here comes the idiot.
Okay, that's enough of that. This is about Social Security. First of all, the main vocabulary term you should associate with Social Security is the word entitlement. Because as long as you pay your taxes and reach retirement age, you are entitled to the benefits of the Social Security program. Another way to describe the program is that it is an intergenerational contract. Basically, one generation agrees to pay the benefits of the previous generation. That's the way the system was set up back in 1935. The current workers pay a payroll tax. It's a certain percentage of your paycheck, matched by your employer. That's the payroll tax, and that pays for the benefits of the current retired people who, when they were working, they paid the payroll tax, and that money paid for the people who were retired then, and so on and so on. So it's an intergenerational exchange, an intergenerational contract. One generation pays for the previous generation's retirement benefits. Um, Now, you might have noticed this term, Social Security Trust Fund, because the way the system was set up was so that there was going to be every year a certain amount left over from the taxes. They didn't set it up so that the taxes this year exactly paid for the benefits this year. They set it up so that there'd be a little extra, and over the years, that surplus, that extra piled up in what we call the Social Security Trust Fund. So that should lead you to believe that there's extra, the government planned ahead, there's no problems with Social Security. Uh, right. There's a big problem with Social Security. If you could, well, you can pause this, right? Yeah, you can pause it. If you could find in your packet of FRQs, I think it's in Unit 8, number 62 or something like that. There's a FRQ about this chart. You can pause it and go get it, and you can look at it at the same time I am. Are you back? Okay. Notice the line that says paid out. The solid line that says paid out. That's the money being paid to current retirees. The dashed line that's real close to it is paid in. That's the taxes being paid for by current workers. And notice as time goes on, at some point right there, the lines cross. And before that point, the paid in is higher than the paid out, which means there's extra. Then the lines cross and the paid out amount is more than the paid in, which means there's more benefits being paid than taxes being paid in. That that happens because of various reasons. First of all, people are living longer, and most people would say that's a good thing. Health care has improved. People are living past their 60s and their 70s and 80s and 90s on average. The other thing causing those lines to cross is the fact that the baby boom generation that's me and probably your parents, um, technically we were born in this time period, that's the baby boom generation, we're starting to retire. If you add 65 to 46, you get 2011. So the first babies born after World War II started to retire in large numbers in 2011. Now it's 2014, so even more of that generation has retired. And the problem is, when you retire, you stop paying the taxes, so there's fewer taxes going in, and you start getting the benefits, and that increases the money coming out. So, and the baby boom generation is the largest single generation in America's history, so when this really starts cooking, when people born in the later 40s and 50s start retiring, as we get into like 2020 and stuff like that, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Also making it worse is that my generation had fewer children than our parents did. So, you know, families when I was a kid frequently had 3, 4 kids, sometimes more. Most families today are 2 or 3 kids. Probably most of you watching this video, you have maybe one other sibling or maybe a couple other siblings. That's the general norm these days. The problem is for Social Security is it takes lots and lots of workers to pay for the payroll tax for the benefits of the old folks. And a huge generation is starting to retire, and a smaller generation is coming along next to pay the taxes. That's why there's a problem. Now, like I said, the people who created Social Security thought of this, and for a long time there's been extra, and this top line on the chart is the trust fund. It's labeled year-end reserve on this. It's really the trust fund, which is all the surpluses that have been added up for years and years and years. It should be in hundreds of billions, maybe trillions of dollars. You would think that that means there's no problem, because even though the dark line is across the dashed line and we're going to soon or already are paying more than we're paying in, that there's all that extra, there's all that surplus all added up. The trust fund should be there to be the extra. The problem is Congress, in its infinite wisdom, has been borrowing that money for decades. Yes, listen to me closely. The government taxes workers to pay for the Social Security retirees. For many years, they have taxed people just a little extra so that there would be extra when the number of workers eventually wasn't enough to pay for the retirees. That was the Social Security Trust Fund, the surplus. But Congress also could not resist, all those years back in the 80s and 90s, when we were piling up all those deficits and borrowing so heavily, Congress could not resist borrowing from the Social Security Trust Fund. Yes, the government borrowed from itself. So, when the time comes, and it may be right now, when we have to go into the trust fund to get the surplus to pay for the benefits that aren't being paid for by the payroll tax right now, there's nothing there. We ate the cookies in the cookie jar, and now when we're hungry, there's not even crumbs in the cookie jar. Thank you, Congress. So, what that means is, basically, right now, as soon as those lines cross, which it's unclear, we may be at that moment right now. As soon as those lines cross, any money that we thought was in the trust fund is not there, and the government has to get that money because we promised it to the old folks. so that means we just have to borrow more, which is bad because we're already borrowing hundreds of billions of dollars every year. So, are there other solutions? Yes. First, an easier solution, at least for reasonable people, is to raise the payroll tax. The problem is, in American politics today, it is the rare politician brave enough to actually say, raise taxes. But this has to be on the table. Another possibility is to reduce the benefits of the program. The problem with that is current retirees are living off of that money, and some of those retirees, that's all they've got. Now, it's not supposed to work that way, but it's the truth. I mean, you're supposed to save for your own retirement, and then Social Security is just supposed to be, you know, something to help out. But some people live on Social Security and nothing else, and to reduce their benefits at this point is pretty heartless. Now, another option is to reduce the COLA. That's not Coca-Cola. COLA is cost of living adjustment. You all have heard of inflation. Well, every once in a while, the government raises Social Security benefits to keep up with inflation, because otherwise, if you don't do that, then basically what you're doing is saying old people, you have to live on less and less as prices go up. So, every once in a while, Congress raises Social Security benefits. It's called a COLA, a cost of living adjustment. Now, the formula they use, how much should we raise it each year or whatever, the formula they use depends on, well, which formula you use. There's different ideas about how much you should raise every once in a while. And the COLA that is now being used, there's some debate over whether or not that's too generous, and maybe we should use a different formula that would create a different COLA once in a while. President Obama has already offered to, as a kind of a compromise to the Republicans, to reduce the cost of the Social Security program, to reduce the COLA formula, so that it gets more expensive less fast. That's kind of the idea. Republicans didn't accept his offer, and so Congress has continued to do nothing. Another option is to raise the retirement age, but that doesn't really work for many, many years, because you can't just tell somebody tomorrow, who's going to retire tomorrow, hey, you can't retire for another 3 years or something. You got to give people some warning, 5, 10 years or whatever it is. So that's an option that will save money in the long run, but not right away. So there's other things on the table that might help solve Social Security's financial problems. Those are the main ideas. That's the main thing going on with Social Security. And we're done. Hope this helped. Good night.